Hey, hey! Not sure if anyone can hear me or see me. It doesn't look like you can see me, but I would like a hey, how you doing if you can actually hear me. If anyone's out there, let me know if you can hear me. And I would really, really appreciate it. Just a quick little sum sum to let me know. Go up and see if you can see me or hear me. Not quite sure that this is being broadcast. It's been about 45 minutes. I don't see anyone on. We've been having technical difficulties at this end. It doesn't seem to want to come up. Not quite sure what's going on there. All right. I'm going to sit here and wait and see if I can get someone to. Of course, if it's not running, it means that you're not seeing me or hearing me. It looks like the show may not even be on. This is kind of really strange. Hello, hello. Someone help me out here. All right. Well, you know what? I just got the go only sound. Thank you, Donna. I appreciate you. Well, good afternoon, adventurers. We're a little behind schedule due to technical difficulties, but it seems that the camera does not want to affix itself and show what's going on. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit. Hope you're having a great Friday. Welcome to John's Dungeon Corner, right here at the Collective in Altamont Springs, Florida, where we are moving ahead because the show, as they say, must go on. And it is. For those of you who have joined me today, thank you. We started a little late, so hopefully you bore with us and are still going to be coming on. So, anyway, with that being said, today's topic, we're going to go over a couple things and something that's kind of important, actually. I had a couple of requests, kind of like a little bit of a, what do you call it? They were a little worried about something, and not worried, but wanting to know, I guess. Concern. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Concern. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit. I mean, this is all going to be audio, unfortunately, and no video. But okay, so here's the thing. We've talked a lot about Dungeons and Dragons and you know the changes that it's gone through and that kind of thing. And a couple people caught wind of the new Dungeons and Dragons 1, I think it's called. I don't know a lot about it. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I've studied it, I've looked into it. I'm one of those that once it's released, I'll sit there and take a look at it, because what happens a lot is while things are in play test or being beta tested or alpha tested or Charlie tested, as the case may be, as long as it's being play tested, it's like video games. You end up with a finished product that may be different than what you play tested. Hey, Willie, thank you for joining me from the Bronx. I appreciate you. It's like that sometimes. It's all good. I'm not mad. At least you guys can hear me and text me and let me know what's up. But as I said, so this D&D one's coming out. I'm not sure when. Can't tell you that either. Like I said, I have not researched it a lot. I want to see when it comes out, and then I'll take a look at it, and then I'll have some comments. But it's like everything else. Look, D&D started with like I said, way back in with these little folded over cardstock with paper stapled in the middle. And then it evolved into booklets, and then it evolved into books, hardback books. Then it became full color, and you know, and went through first, second, third edition, 3.54, and now we're at 5. Okay, many years later, and what, like 50 years later, his 50th anniversary, right? Things happen to change, and this is probably going to be another change, and probably a couple more changes by the time, you know, in our lifetimes, we may see another change or two. But that's okay, because here's one of the things. The wonderful part is, yeah, unfortunately, I just got to figure out the technical aspects of this sometimes. Yeah, it's all good. You know, yeah, technical aspects sometimes, and I just got to get a little bit more familiar with the StreamYard, and figure it out. But at least you can hear me. At least the show will go on. Uh, so, with all that being said, uh, I guess what I'm getting at is that although fifth edition is out, there's still people who play fourth edition, 3.5, third edition. I know people that still play out of the booklets. It's the enjoyment of the game at whatever level you want to play at. And that's the wonderful thing about Dungeons and Dragons. It doesn't force you. You don't have to give up. There's still material out there, still information out there. And once you got the core rules and the core books, you can play that game forever. If that's what you like, if you want to play 3.5, it doesn't matter if we're on edition 7. If that's what you and your group enjoy, then that's what you're going to enjoy. The miniatures, the dice, nothing's changed. It's not like the only thing that I can see changing maybe is if someday in the future, which I would love to see, is if they have a holographic table, that brings up everything in a 3D holographic view, and you can control your character. They move around, they swing, and they attack holographic monsters and back and forth. I think that'd be amazing. But up until then, miniatures are going to be miniatures, and dice rolling is going to be dice rolling. So there you go. Those are the two biggest things. And dungeons are going to be dungeons, and whatever terrain you have is going to be terrain forever and ever until it goes holographic or use like some kind of like TV setup or something, which is really cool too. All right. So there's been a lot of changes. Technology has allowed us to play the game in a different way, but it's still the same game. It may be a different version, but I know people who still play the 3.0 version. They love it. Okay. So let me kind of assuage. Is that the word? Assuage the concerns that Dungeons and Dragons is not going anywhere. It's not changing horrifically. It's just the gameplay. From what I know, the gameplay is going to be a little different. But everything else, it's all good. And like I said, I, for myself, have a 5.0 campaign going that I'll be continuing to run. And at home, we play a 3.5 game that my buddy Billy runs. And that's going to continue playing. So see, there's a lot that going on. And it doesn't matter. Okay? And of course, there's your homebrew games. Nothing's changing. Just new material for those who join the game later to become accustomed to or jump into with. All right. So that's that. Now, talking about the other thing, the Dungeons and Dragons, I've shown so many things that I think I've kind of like brought up the concern that, oh my gosh, look at this. This is going to cost me a fortune to get into. No, it's not. My biggest suggestion is, and you've seen the box sets that I've talked about, right? The starter boxes that I've said are amazing. If you want to first try out Dungeons and Dragons for yourself, I think that the best thing is go get one of the starter boxes. They're like one's $19.99, the other one's $24.99. Between them for less than $50, you can get both of them. But you go in there and it gives you everything you need. They even give you a set of dice. So you've got your adventure that you run as a dungeon master and how to dungeon master it. It gives you the pre-made characters. So you don't have to roll characters together. You just hand them out and say, let's play it and see if we like this. Okay? It's got the dice. You can share them. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So everything, and then there's the player's part, the actual adventure that you read to them. So there's the player's book, and then there's the DM's guide that had not the DM's guide, but the Dungeon Master's Game Master's book that has the adventure in it and how to game master it. Wonderful thing. They have cards in it. They have the sheets. I mean, everything that you need to play. So you can start as simply as $20. You can sit down with 4 or 5 of your friends, run the adventure, and see, oh, wow, I really like this. And then from there, you decide your level of commitment to the game. Do I have, sure, I have the player's handbook. I have the Dungeon Master's Guide. I have the Monster Manual Expanded, Fizbin's book, Mordecai's book, Xanathar's book, Bixby's book. Oh my gosh, who else? Tasha's book. I mean, I have all the books. I have a ton of books, and I don't have them all. I have the ones that I find relevant to what I'm running. Okay, that's the way I do it. I look at a book, I look it over, and I get it. If it's relevant to something that I might run, if there's some information in there, and sometimes it's not even about something that I'm going to run or some kind of monster. It's about information that may be in the book that I find relevant, and I look it over. No reason you can't come in, and once you've gotten used to the system, you read through and see, oh, okay, this is cool. Oh, I like this. I like this. I have Acquisitions Inc., which is really about running a merchant, running a business in the D&D game, and making money outside of dungeon mastering and that kind of thing. Is that an aspect that I'm going to add to my game? Yes, that is an aspect of my game. Is it for everybody? No. Do you need that book? No. You don't. It depends on whether you want to add that concept to your game. With that being said, there's a lot of information out there. Monsters of the Multiverse is really a very instructional book. It's amazing. The Fizbin's Book of Dragons. If you don't want to know anything about dragons, then don't get the book. That's the way it is. I mean, I got it because I'm very interested in the information in there. Will there be dragons in my game? Possibly. There are. I mean, not so much my Wizard, but at my home campaign, there are. There are definitely dragons because there's a dragon council that interacts with the rest of the world. They're not just these reclusive creatures that are out in the wilds, and that's the only time you encounter them. They're still there. Excuse me, but Dracotheric is an entire realm that is ruled by a ruling council of dragons. Okay, so Dracotheric in the Elven tongue means the land of the dragons. So there you go. So that book is very important to me because it helps me out. It gives me a really good look at the description and how they think, and it gives me more. And sometimes more is better and sometimes less is better. But hey, as the case may be, right? So let me kind of calm those fears. You don't need every book ever published by Dungeons and Dragons, by TSR, Wizards of the Coast to run the game at, depending on what level you're running it on. So with the 5.0, the basic books would be, to me, if I'm going to run the game, I want a Dungeon Master's book. Okay? So I definitely want a Dungeon Master's book. I probably want a Monster Manual. And eventually, and do I want a Player's Handbook? Sure, I want all 3 books in the end. But for definitely the Dungeon Master's book, because it kind of tells you how to run a game, how to create your own world. It kind of gives you all the backdrops, all the behind-the-scenes things that you need, right? Excuse me. So as far as the Player's Handbook, you need to kind of have an idea of what classes you're going to allow. Although if somebody in your group buys one, you can remember, you don't have to take on this whole financial responsibility by yourself either. Okay, you can sit down with your group and say, okay, so we like the box set, right? And they're all happy and everybody wants to continue to play. And says, well, look, okay, so here's what it's going to take. I'm going to go out and get the Dungeon Masters book because I'll keep running. Or you can just go buy another module and forget about buying anything else and really just kind of like go and what do you call it? Just kind of look at buy what next module to buy and not even buy the books yet. Then when you decide, okay, now I got the hang of this, this is definitely something we're going to do. I go up to my partner and say, look, I'm going to buy the DM's guide. Okay, that's going to be my investment. If you guys want a Player's Handbook, why don't you all chip in? And you start with one Player's Handbook and everybody uses it. There's nothing wrong with that. Or maybe one of them buy it and the other one buys, let's say, whatever, the next module book or something. Or anyway, it could be a collective group that goes in. It could just be the Dungeon Master getting Dungeon Master stuff, players getting player stuff. But the idea is that you're all going to be enjoying this together. So why not? Okay, and let everybody go out and buy their dice. Oh, my favorite color is this. So let them go out and get their dice. Maybe you get another set, right? So there's a lot of different ways of approaching the cost of Dungeons and Dragons. Because like any other hobby, it doesn't matter. Pick a hobby. From something as inexpensive as crocheting to all the way up to something that I would say would be expensive, which is just that's a common hobby. Refurbishing cars, old cars, restoring old cars. That's a very expensive hobby. And everything in between, right? Miniature war gaming, collectible card games, tabletop books, tabletop board games, collecting books, whatever it may be. There's a cost involved in the things that we like. The neat thing is that with Dungeons and Dragons, that cost is extended over the years. I mean, my DM's guide, woof, a long time ago. Back in when 5.0 first started out. So that was what, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever. So that money that I paid for it back then, if you stretch it out, that book's lasted me, and I've been able to gain with it for, let's say, just 5 years. That means that book cost me like $10 a year. You know, if you go drink, what, 5 or 6 sodas nowadays in one day, then there you go. You just bought yourself a DM's guide. Or I just paid for my DM's guide for the year, right? So look at it that way. That's what they always say. Cut something else out, and there you go. You'll save up the money to get whatever. Kind of a crazy analogy, but there you go. Same thing with the Player's Handbook. I bought that way back when it first came out. Same thing with the months. I bought all 3. And then my son and his fiance, Sarah, they sat there and got me the special edition set, you know. And I've had that for a while now. So just look at it in that perspective, and it's a great investment. These books just don't fall apart. Like I said, I've had mine actually since it was first published. I can't even remember. I think 5.0's been, if anybody remembers, I think it's been like 8, 9 years, maybe at least, maybe 10, maybe as much as 10. So, yeah, it's been a little bit. So yes, there's that. And then so in dice, I mean, come on, those dice are forever. Those dice are forever, don't you think? I mean, my gosh. They seem to last and last and last. I mean, I've gotten dice from way back when. Woo! Original dice from, and I mean way back, and it's still kicking. They're still running. You know, it's still great, and it's a wonderful thing. So anyway, things last. The miniatures last, and you can use you buy a miniature today for a paladin. You can use it as so many things in the future. So that investment of like whatever it was. $4.99, I think they are, $5.99, $6. 10 years from now means you spent 60 cents a year for it. All right, so put it in that perspective, and you'll see that it's not so bad. Now, I was going to show you this cool thing, a couple things, but we're going to put those aside. We're going to table that for now. But the artwork, you know, you've seen a lot of things, but since we're not being able to do show and tell, I want to say before, because I'm probably going to keep this today short due to the video aspect of things. The collective is having a collective fest Halloween weekend from 10/26, that's a Thursday, to 10/31, which is, I believe, Tuesday. Halloween's on Tuesday this year. They're going to have board games, Super Commander Party, Lorcana is Not So Scary, F&B Pro Quest Draft, horror, RPGs, werewolf, costumes, trick or treat, giveaways, free comic, and more spectacular events all weekend long. So that's something that you guys can definitely. Happy Friday, Sarah. Welcome to the show. We only have audio today. So you can either call the store at 407-637-2843, or you can even text the store. Look at that. You can text it at 321-295-7091. You can always go on the Facebook, on the website, and keep an eye on what events are coming up. So, yes. A lot of good stuff. So I hope that I've kind of like brought some calm to the whole, oh my gosh, how much is it to get into this game? The cost of playing Dungeons & Dragons. And remember, at bare bones minimum, you can always borrow things. You can always borrow a player's handbook. Here at the store, you've got the player's handbook if you just got to kind of ease into it. So there's a lot of things you can do to keep the cost of Dungeons & Dragons original initially until you're ready to determine how much. Did you unplug and replug the camera? I can try that again. I did once. Let me see what happens. I already did it once, so let me see. I really just don't want to mess anything up because, but let's try it again. It's like it's not reading it is what's happening. Let me try it. Oh, let me see if I can. There we go. Let me see now. Yeah. It's just I'm getting 3 little dots on the screen like it's trying to buffer and get it up on there, and it's just not happening. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove it and reset it. Nope. It looks like I still got the mic up and running, but the camera is not. Yeah, I had unplugged it once and plugged it back in. Thank you, though, Sarah. Because sometimes you know what? The simplest things are the ones that you forget. But anyway, okay, so and talking about the cost. If it's a that's what we see too. Just the three dots, yeah, it's crazy. The other thing I wanted to talk about was it's actually kind of neat that Sarah came on because she'll know about this. So the other thing I wanted to tackle today is bringing kids into Dungeons and Dragons. I wish I could show you, but anyway, so doesn't matter. Let's talk about that for a minute. So a couple good things about D&D. It helps with the basics, basic functions of arithmetic, of communication, imagination, that kind of thing. Because simply put, and for those of you who see me design the characters, you saw it took almost an hour, first of all, to do it. And I was at the quick version, right? We blew through that. Room. I mean, just right out the book, we just went at it and designed the character. The barbarian, I believe it was, or the bard. Was it a bard or rogue? I'm not even sure what we did that time. But the neat thing about that is there's a lot of calculations that have to happen. Basic math, sure. But nonetheless, it's mathematical skills that are put at work. Okay? There's a lot of adding and subtracting. Sometimes there's some multiplication going on. When you roll the dice, there's addition, of course. Understanding what, all these numbers are, especially once you add attributes and subtract this and add that. Move this down here. There's a lot of writing involved, or at least typing on the computer as you fill out the character sheet. And these are things that I would definitely let them do as much of as possible, depending on how old they are. Okay, because it gets them involved in the creation of their own character. It becomes something that they are into. It's something they feel like they have an investment of time into it. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like the concept of I could give you a car, you can earn your own car. You tend to take care of things a little more and become more invested in things when you earn it on your own and do it on your own. That's just me, though. Okay, so help them create their character step by step by step. And that's going to take a little bit of time, sure, but it's worth it. Trust me. Then here's another thing. I know that a lot of the D&D games are based on orcs and this, but you can also take something simple. For instance, let's say that you have a group of kids that want to play. And they're 6, 7, 8, whatever. They're in those years. And some of them like watching, of course, they all like watching cartoons, or they have a favorite animation, something. Okay? So I'm just going to kind of grab it too. I'm going to use My Little Pony, right? And I'm going to use the Ninja Turtles. 2 popular shows, right? Okay, so we take the Little Pony, and this is funny because Sarah and Antonio, we always talk about the strangest games. Is that the other? Well, My Little Pony created a set of miniatures, a set of the Little Ponies that were based on Dungeons and Dragons, and so I got those at home. they're whole ponies, and they have classes, and they're dressed up as wizards and paladins and archers and rogues, and it's just hilarious to see. Yeah, it's really neat. And as far as the Ninja Turtles, well, my gosh, think about it. You could have Donatello, Raphael with the size, because the size do exist in Dungeons and Dragons. Dual wielding the katanas. The bow, of course, exists. The nunchucks exist. So that would be something that you could easily incorporate into a class for them, and and go along those lines. And the backstory could be as simple as one day you're watching television, and all of a sudden you doze off for whatever reason. You doze off and you wake up in a place not your living room, and you're in the middle of a field surrounded by mountains and a forest, and even the smells are different. The sky is different. And you look up and wait, what's going on? Oh, look at that. And My Little Pony is coming out with already came out with 5 compatible campaigns. See, there you go. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things. They're bringing out a lot of um, younger players with younger players in mind. There's a lot of equipment and a lot of campaign material and that coming out for younger players. And so, but going along with that, and all of a sudden you look down and you see your hands are, oh, wait a minute, my hands are green, and what the heck is this on my back? It's a shell. And you look down, oh my gosh, here you are recreated as a Ninja Turtle. And you look over, and standing in the meadow, looking at you, quite as surprised as you looking at them, is a blue pony. Carrying, what's that? A pointy hat and a staff on their back? What? There you go. Now you've introduced My Little Pony and the Ninja Turtle into your campaign, and you can run the campaign. I think becoming a Ninja Turtle would be Antonio's dream. Yes, it would, or Power Ranger, one of the two. And you know what? Even though Power Ranger has its own game out, yes, it does, RPG. You can even bring in a Power Ranger. He could be a warlock or a sorcerer, whatever they want to be, just like the Power Ranger. I mean, why not? So what? They wear a helm and they wear light armor. There you go. And it's blue or purple or green or white or yellow or red or black or whatever. You know, so there's ways of incorporating all that. So for younger kids, you know, you can use instead of using monsters, you can use things like, you know, there are so many things. A bear, a giant bear. You see it chasing this young child, this little kid, and they go and save them. And they, you know, and you can use that. Or, oh my gosh, these ants are these giant ants are attacking this farm. Or wolves. It doesn't even have to be goblins and orcs and things like that. There are so many creatures in the D&D world that you can use that it's crazy, just crazy. You know, there's ants, there's scorpions, spiders, there's insects, there's animals. Every animal can be used, you know, as a creature out there for whatever reason. Just pick a scenario and there you go. You know, there was this group of campers, people just adventuring. They were just a family that went out for a picnic and they got attacked by giant frogs. And just let them play D&D along with that, you know. So it's there's even ant people. There are actually ant characters, from regular animals to fantasies to sci-fi, etc. Yep, that's true. You can dream it, you can make it. So there's a lot out there. You just kind of, as a DM, I think the biggest responsibility you have is just to entertain your players and all of you to have a good time. That's really about it in the end. As a DM, you do take on the added work that you, other than their characters, you do everything else. You know, you're like I've said before, you're every NPC, you're every monster. You're everything, from the sound of the wind blowing through the mountains to the trees and the leaves and the grass, and you paint everything. You are the grand master. You paint the skies and you trim the trees. You build the towns and you level them low. You build a dungeon or the tower that reaches the sky. That's all you. You know, from the orcs that raid the back, or in this case, from the wolves that attacked the sheep herder, to the town, the town crier that's asking for adventurers to go take care of the ant problem that's arisen in the neighboring farmlands. You know, so there you have it. I mean, it's really as simple as that, and it's a lot of fun because there's no limitations, and that's why kind of linking all this together is why I put it all together. Is that regardless of what campaign setting you have, because remember, in 3.5, let me give you an idea. In 3.5 and in 5.0, if you look at them, there's a Ravenloft setting with Strahd. Okay, Strahd is still in there. He's the man. All right, so you have that campaign setting. There were Eberron settings. All right, just different systems. The worlds were there. Krynn, which is Dragonlance, were in there. Spelljammer. So you've got all these Forgotten Realms. Okay? So that's what I'm getting at, is that those worlds were all there. And those are 4 different campaign settings. All right? You can go, and whether it's 3.5 or 5.0, you can play in them and continue playing them. The only thing 5.0 did was just change the system around a little bit, make things a little easier to get started. And I think where one is going is, I guess, is a back to basics kind of thing. But honestly, right now at this point, I'm going to keep playing in my 3.5. I'm going to keep running my 5.0, and we'll see what comes of 1, right? So, and there's people that will tell you, we keep playing this. Yeah, that's cool. And sometimes I play in it. I've run that, but you do what you have fun with. And these worlds and these campaigns and these characters and these creatures. The funny thing is, if you want, you can just pull them through a black hole, through a gate, through a time travel, through a whatever. You want a ritual that was cast and bring them forward and just change them up. So you can do anything in this world. In the end, it's what you want to make out of it. It's what you want to run. It's how you want to run. And I think that's the important thing, is have fun with it. Don't worry so much about what you don't have, and just make good use of what you do have. Just use your imagination. You don't even have to roll dice if you didn't want to. I mean, I love dice. I mean, dice are just, that's my dice, So I love me some dice. Ooh, 20. Look at that. All right. An 18. I like it. So anyway, but as you can see, I love dice. I mean, but you can do it all theater of mind concept. Okay. We're not going to get into that, but because I like my dice. I love me some dice. That's all you all know. So I think that's as far as I'm going to go with the show today. I know I'm hoping that I helped alleviate some of those concerns that people had. And don't worry, if you have questions, like I said, I don't know if you can see that at the bottom, but johnsdc2021@gmail.com. Send your question, your concern, anything you want me to talk about there, and I'll try and address it. I thought this was kind of important because it was really neat, good stuff. And yeah, it was fun having this time with you. Always talking D&D is always fun. I love playing D&D. I love running D&D. I love talking D&D, and I love answering questions. And sometimes some of the questions you guys ask, you folks ask, are great because it makes me go dig for some information. And it goes, ooh, look, this leads to this. And then I go down the rabbit hole and find out all kinds of great stuff. So anyway, thank you to all of you for putting up with me not being visible, but at least you can hear me. Okay. I appreciate you guys. So as always, as always, may the road rise up to meet your feet, and may all of your adventures be successful. Antonio, hi, buddy. Thank you. Hey, Jason. Ooh, a Dark John's Dungeon Core. Yes. I'm wrapping it up, guys, but thank you for coming on. See, there's love there. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on and at least just saying hi and showing your support. Unfortunately, today I'm going to cut it a little short because it's not just because of the video, but I wanted to show some things and I really can't. So we talked about, the different campaign settings being in both the upcoming one and how to kind of get a kids adventure going. So anyway, as always, like I said, I've said my farewells, but I will see you fine folks next Friday. And then we'll hopefully have this whole camera issue fixed up. Hi, Nancy. Oh, gosh. You guys are going to make me sit here and stay on because I can't not everybody's coming on. I can't just shut down. So any topics you guys out there want to talk about real quick? Any questions you want me to answer? If you throw something at me, we'll talk for a few more minutes. Because I don't want to just leave now that now that you guys have all come on. I love that. Any questions? Anything? I'll give you guys a couple minutes to type them up. So, if not, yeah, see, I'm like that. That's the cool thing about running a show is that you can actually extend it and cut it short and move it along. And, some of the folks that watch it live have come on, and if you guys have any questions for me, I'll answer them. If not, I'm gonna bid everybody adieu. We had a great session the other night. Indeed, it was a fun session. In fact, you and Cheyenne joined us via the phone. So, see, let's talk about that real quick. Listen, don't let distance ever stop you from running a game. If you have players that are willing to call in or even use Zoom, but Zoom wasn't going to really work for us, so we used the phone and we just put them on speakerphone, and they played and rolled their dice hundreds of miles away. They were like 3 hours, 3.5, 4 hours away. And we still ran our game here at the Collective, and they joined in via the phone. They rolled their dice there, and there you go. It's all about having fun, gang. Distance doesn't mean anything, especially not with the technology that we have nowadays. I mean, once upon a time when I ran my campaign, we have one gentleman that plays out of on the other side of Newport Richie. My one son is up in D.C. Antonio and Sarah at one point used to play from St. Thomas. So if that's possible, use technology. We did it on Zoom. Sometimes the Zoom wasn't working very well, so they call in and we just put people on speakerphones. You just have to be a little bit more courteous and, kind of take turns doing things, because it's hard to hear the people on the phone, and sometimes they might miss something you say. I've played in our Florida sessions exactly. So don't let distance dissuade you from running a campaign and running a game for everybody. As long as the players are willing and they're good with it, then have fun with it. And that's the whole thing. I mean, our party on Wednesday is not about the game. It's more about hanging out, the companionship, and laughing together, and just stupid jokes and funny jokes, and just having a good time. And do we play D&D? Sure, we play our D&D. But it's more importantly, it's fun. And that's why everybody keeps coming back. So just keep that in mind when you're running a campaign. Doesn't matter if it's 3.5, 5.0, 4.0, 2, the new one that's coming out. It made us use our imaginations to visualize where everyone was. I enjoy our session. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, there you go. That's the biggest thing. And the big thing is they enjoy the sessions. They have fun. Or if you're not having fun, you got to keep coming back just to come back. So that was awesome. It was awesome. Thank you for joining us. I think that I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it here. I've really appreciated you guys coming on. And I know the people who will take the time to watch, at least listen to this on the internet later on. I appreciate you guys. I love that you guys show support. And that's how shows grow. So once again, may the roll rise up to meet your feet, and may all your adventures be successful. Yes. That's true. We did have a tech session. But with that being said, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. I'll see you on the 25th. You guys have a wonderful Friday, a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Friday. See you later.